Hello everyone, hope you're well. This is CoinsKid, just going to launch XRP once again. Thank you for support. Okay, we've got a CoinsKid crew. So yesterday we was looking at ZEC because it was a massive red block on the crypto blocks on the macro time frame. That is your zoomed out time frame. If you're looking for your big macro positions, whether you're in a position to sell or buy or whatever, then just zoom out on the macro time frame on the crypto blocks and you get a visual representation of that coin. So as you push towards the back end of the market, you see there's quite a lot of fear in the low caps, and this is normal. I expect a lot of volatility in those micro caps, all these little coins down there, really dragging into the floor. And this is where, again, nothing I say is financial advice, but if you're looking for exponential gains in this market from this point, you're not necessarily going to get it on the likes of XRP because it's come up so much. Your gains are going to come from coins at the back end of the market that basically you could potentially chuck $100 into and they turn out 1,000x and things like that. And this is something I always relay to you in this market. If you are looking for minimal input, maximum output, then you're not necessarily going to get that with XRP or Bitcoin or Ethereum. It's just simple logic. So you look to the back end of the market and you can clearly see there's a lot of fear in these micro caps, but some of these micro caps could turn around and absolutely go vertical. And this is why I look at them, and this is why I create this system for you to find them. So go down the list. There's a coin here, Melanie. I think this came out roughly the same time as Trump coin, wasn't it, earlier in this year? This is getting really dragged down in the floor right now. Look at that, being pushed down. The RSI is sitting down there roughly, what is that, 10? Personally, I don't own any of this just yet, but I will own some of this. If it starts to come down anymore, keep an eye on this. If it does start to come down anymore and we start to see a bullish divergence, we start zooming on the daily. If we start to see all this bullish divergence build up, this will react and it will come back up the stairs. So this will be a nice little trade going forward, So really simply, if we take a look at the MACD, this is exactly where you want to be buying these coins. You want to be buying them under the MACD, obviously on the zero line. You've been looking for bullish divergence. So we may be on the cusp of printing a bullish divergence here, because what you've got is this low here, which is where your candle body closed. And as this starts to come down, as this starts to fill this wick, you may see a little bullish divergence on the daily time frame, sorry. So, once you see that, boom, I'll buy some of this, because this will start a retracement. Nothing goes down forever and nothing goes up forever. Please remember that. So I'll keep an eye on this. I'm going to add it to my favorites. Melanie, I think that's how you say it. I think it's Donald Trump's wife or something, isn't it? And again, it's really stupid. It's a meme coin, but this is the thing with these meme coins. They do like 10, 20, 30x, where XRP will do 20% or a 50% move or 100% move or whatever. So I just like to take a punt on them, $100, whatever. I don't ever go in my life savings. You're fully aware of that. And I just look for reasons why. So I'll be keeping an eye on this. Now I do go away tomorrow for a week in Rose, but what I'm doing, and I've actually captured the data of bullish and bearish divergences, okay, which I'm going to code into the crypto blocks for you, and it's going to send us notifications when something's creating a bullish divergence or bearish divergence on any time frame that you want a notification for. So stay tuned for that. I've got all the data, I've been compiling it, I found a way, but I've just got to get the notification system out, so I will get that for you. So for example, right now I'd have notify me that when this prints a bullish divergence on the daily, tell me, because obviously I'm likely to forget. So anyway, this is meme coin trading. Obviously, it's very volatile. I've taught you that. Don't go with your life savings. Don't be an over leveraged degen. You don't even have to long this or anything like that. I just buy a spot position once it prints the bullish divergence down here. It looks a little bit like this. So this will come up like this, create a reversal pattern, come back down. You'll see lower lows here, and you'll see higher lows in the RSI, and then you've got a nice little bullish divergence, okay, where this could start to come back up the stairs. And if it does, we have a whopping God candle backtest just there for this particular project. So this will be, roughly what we're looking at, around about a 10x, 1,000% move. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get a 10x on XRP at this point. So, for me, I'll just chuck $100 of this, pull out $1,000, fantastic. And that's just simple meme coin trading, with less input. You get that, good output. But I know a lot of people, they'll put like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand on this. I would never do that. I would never put that on a meme coin account. I only put, chump change basically. I'm not saying that $100 is chump change, but that is what I do. Even when I bought Fart Boy, I put, I think, $40 into Fart Boy back in the day when I bought that, and it just went from 8.7k market cap to 200 million market cap. It did incredibly well. So this is what I look at. I look at meme coins. So, further down the list on the macro, on the crypto blocks, is where you'll find them opportunities. But again, own due diligence, own research, look into the project. If you find one, ping me, let me know, and then we'll take a look at that going forward, okay? But this is how you find your little coins. So yesterday I was looking at ZEC for that rollover on the macro. Right now we are seeing that, but like I said to you, I'm not going to go short at this point because it was a big red block yesterday. What I'm looking at is a little pullback. This comes up, makes a higher high, okay, like this, and this comes back and makes a lower high. Once we see that, I think we've got an increased probability of a nice short playing out in this particular project, okay? going forward. So I'm looking for the bearish divergence to kick in, and I think it'll come back down to this support here. So if we capture this, for example, this comes up again, you go through some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up with a bearish divergence on the weekly. Please remember, this is the macro time frame. And this again is why I added it to my favorites. You know, up here, short it, look at that. It's around about 74% short opportunity, a massive short opportunity. So this is on my radar, okay? But just because it's pulling back, I'm not going to short it straight away, because obviously it could turn around and, you know, get liquidated and stopped out, whatever. So I'll just short the bearish divergence, and this is what we do on this channel, okay? So this is on my radar, ZEC. So stay tuned to the Discord, because I will post the short setup as and when I jump into that particular trade. So I know this is an XRP content, I do apologise, but XRP at the moment is neutral on the macro. It's just chilling in the mid-range. Nothing overly concerning, obviously, other than this monster wick. But like I said to you, I found a chart where we've not got that wick, and it could be the chart that's telling the truth. So we'll take a look at it in a moment. But, you know, again, this is what I'm looking for on the likes of ZEC. You know, you've got basically what you've got here. You come down, you make this low, you come up, you make a higher high. If you short him right now, it comes back down, comes up, you get liquidated and stopped out. So I'll be looking for something quite similar on ZEC as to what we've got with XRP. You know, you come out, you make your high, the same high, then you come back down and make your higher high in the index, which is what I'm anticipating for ZEC, and you make your lower high in the RSI. And at that point, wow, you've got a massive increased probability. Okay, you're going to come back in, and this was a nice trade for XRP. For anyone that's paying attention, like I said to you, I'm bearish at this point because I think it's a bull trap, and this is what I was relaying to you earlier in the year in January, because I said to you, we're seeing a bearish divergence here. So I said to you, I think it's a bull trap, and we'll come back in. And when we came back in, my bids were on this god kind of back test just there at 164, and you know, we could look at something quite similar with ZEC for a big boy bounce in the future and trade that as and when it happens. So with XRP at the moment, you know, we do still have the MACD above the 0 line, so there's still momentum in this trend for XRP. It's not completely going to oblivion just yet. We've still got the momentum on the weekly where we're holding this mid-range. What we don't want to see is this come like a sharp drop, starts to trend under the 50 zone and starts to trend down, because if it does, then we've just got to kick back and buy back you know, lower basically for XRP, where we print a beautiful bottom where the RSI gets really oversold, like down there in, I think it was June 2022. The MACD falls below the 0 line, and you're creating a beautiful golden cross. At that point, you know, you got a massive confirmation, you got a nice little bottom down there, and this is why I kept calling the bottom in mid 2022. This came back up, came back down, retested this bottom, built some more positions, and we've been bull ever since on this particular chart. But at some point the trend will change on this chart, but I don't necessarily think it's just now. Okay, I think we've got another little move to the upside because of all the data points that I'm looking at. I've not flipped completely bearish on XRP just yet until we start to see obviously the loss of momentum on the RSI and the loss of momentum on the MACD, where when you start to lose it, okay, project down, look for your golden cross below, and look for, you know, your bullish divergence and obviously oversold conditions on the weekly RSI. So that will happen in time, but I think what we've got here is a little leg missing to the upside, and there's no bias, and there may be clues in a couple of charts I'm about to show you. Okay, so let's dive into the charts right now and see what we can see. So we have to pay attention to Ethereum. Okay, at the moment what we've seen from this high here, which was the 7th of October, I think it was, we saw a beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4 and a flush 5. So we may have seen a 5-wave move down that completed some kind of correction here for Ethereum. Okay, and what we're doing, we've got a 1, ABC 2, 3, 4, 5. So right now we've got this retracement that's going on for Ethereum. This looks like a little bit of a bear flag at the moment. If you take a look at some kind of little bear flag that's trending back up, so it's come down, trending back up. If it starts to break again, you'll flush this low, everyone will poo themselves basically, but all you're doing is retracing from this high after a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. You're retracing back down to your 1 fib at 3502. If Ethereum breaks down and loses the 3502, it could be a very bearish statement from Ethereum. Okay, because one thing we don't want to see, you see this here, this is your BMS. We do not want to see Ethereum falling under that from this point, because if we do, then obviously it's in a bit of trouble, okay, going forward, and we've just got to project down at that point. And what we will be doing for Ethereum, really simply, if I zoom out and show you, is we will be losing a monumental level of previous resistance that now is holding as support, and we don't necessarily want to see that, because the last time we saw that on the daily time frame, if I zoom out right now, I can show you, was way back here. I think it was just here, wasn't it, in 2021. This resistance has been resistance for a very long time. I think you'll see it if I zoom out better on the weekly, on the macro. So, you know, I'll keep an eye on Ethereum every single day for you, because you can clearly see 2021, we peaked just there in May of 2021. That was resistance, came up, resistance again, came back, broke out in a little bull trap. Then we've dropped through this resistance once more, turned it into resistance. Look at that. We failed to hold it as support massive level of resistance. If you take a look at this, look at all this resistance for so long, and in recent times Ethereum is actually busted out of that resistance. So whether or not this is some kind of one, into a pullback 2, into a breakout 3, coil up 4, into a final 5th wave, that is currently, although obviously it doesn't feel like it's going to do it, that is currently my primary outlook for Ethereum, which obviously if it does do it, it's a little bit of good news for XRP and obviously altcoins as well, where we could see a massive run up against all odds and expectations. Because like I've relayed to you in yesterday's video, I think we're doing something in another chart exactly what we did there before a final 5th wave up into this leg of resistance. So if we are doing exactly what we've done there, you know, we're pulling back and then we have another leg to the upside. So that is currently still my primary. I've not flipped completely bearish yet because of the Ethereum chart. This is why I'm holding on for the big move for XRP into the final 5th, into Q4 before the rollover. So, you know, there is another chart that is a little bit of confluence to that particular analysis. That's exactly where we are. You know, basically the Ethereum chart within itself, that's your previous all-time high. You broke out back test, just there you broke out back test. All this level of resistance is now becoming support, which is what you want to see for Ethereum. If it breaks down below that and turns it into resistance, that is not a good look, because that's exactly what you did there. And at that point, you know, you're losing the BMS, you've got to project to the downside. But it's not done it yet. So we're holding on for dear life here. I hope you understand. There's no bull tardism, moon tardism or whatever. I'm just relaying the data to you and the potential setup, which is exactly what we got there. We fell back to the previous all-time high and we broke out. We're falling back to the previous all-time high and we're looking to break out. Now there is something that happened there that's happening here as well. So we need to pay attention to that chart. It's the Bitcoin dominance chart. And then I'm going to show you another chart that may be a little bit of confluence to this particular analysis as well, okay? Let's dive into the dominance chart right now, see what we can see. So looking at this chart, it's a very important chart in confluence with the Ethereum chart. We have to see Ethereum hold its support and we have to see this hold a resistance. And this is something we need to keep an eye on over the next few weeks because, you know, it didn't happen instantly. But what we've got is a precursor because we've got the red dot there in, I think that was March, early March of 2021. I remember that time. This is where I come online with my channel and a lot of things were pulling back, you know, BNB, XRP, a lot of things had broke up and were going sideways and pulling back. And then they had that massive move to the upside. And this is one of the things I was predicting in the channel way back when, which is what sent my channel viral. I think, you know, BNB, it did a massive move and I predicted it. And, you know, my channel was around about 4,000 followers and then it just rocketed because of that particular prediction playing out. But obviously, as this waterfalled, it was max euphoria in the channel, okay? At that point, please go back to the channel. I was actually calling for a crash and a correction for Bitcoin, ran to about 28K from 64K. But I hold my hands up. I thought we would go sideways and then we'd break out again into Q4. We did with Bitcoin, but I thought we would do it with everything else, to be honest with you. So obviously, in hindsight, what that move was for Bitcoin in late 2021 and Ethereum and Cardano was actually a bull trap. And I've shown you all the confluence to that particular analysis, okay? But, you know, I got really euphoric. I hold my hands up, I did, because I was looking at the Q4 finish and a major vertical across the board in altcoins. Could be the same thing I'm looking at right now. You know, we may not even get that. But I'm just relaying the data to you. I hope you understand that. So way back when in 2021, we got the breakdown in dominance, okay? And you've got your ribbon flashing from yellow, transitioning from an uptrend into a downtrend. You flip your red dot and then you go red, okay? Now, the red dot went red in early March. And by end of March, early April, we had actually changed the trend in this chart. And when we did that, that was a massive precursor. You know, basically from there to roughly this target here, which was May, we experienced some huge moves in altcoins, okay, massive moves. Cardano, VeChain, you know, XRP, Chainlink all went vertical and had that massive breakout. So it's a very similar situation as we've got right now. Now, I'm not saying because it's done it before, it's 100% going to do it again, but, you know, one thing we've not seen in this chart is a waterfall, which is a characteristics of the top. And this is something I've been relaying to you for a very long time, which is why I didn't call this the top, this the top. I'm not calling this the top at the moment, okay? And obviously I'm looking for more data on the bearish breakdown for Bitcoin, the bearish breakdown for XRP, and obviously bearish breakdown for Ethereum, because we are doing something we did very similar there. We have seen massive pullbacks, you know, and some potential kind of shakeouts across the market here prior to a major waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance. If you take a look at that wick to a stare, it almost got its ass back above the ribbon, but it held it as resistance, and then the dominance dropped like an absolute stone, didn't it? A huge waterfall, which was the characteristics of the top. Then it went sideways and eventually broke out in late 2022, got its ass above, printed the green buy dot in early 2023, and it's been Bitcoin season ever since. Look at that. We identified a couple of opportunities here. We identified a beautiful opportunity in XRP last year, beautiful, and obviously in Ethereum in recent times. So, looking at it right now, is it altcoins turn? Because XRP's had its go, Ethereum's had its go. Obviously, XRP and Ethereum may put in another leg higher. Fantastic if it does. But like I said to you, I don't necessarily think it's as much appreciation as we can look at in some of these under the radar, micro cap, foot on the head altcoins that, got 10, 20 X's in them. So right now, it could be a clue that, you are about to see them verticals across the board, because of the rinse repeat on Crypto Street is what happened there. So I'm looking for the invalidation. I hope you understand that. So the invalidation is really simple. If this right now starts to get its ass back above the ribbon, starts to trend up, then alt season's off the table. You've been verticals and another high for XRP and another high for Ethereum. It's off the table. And obviously with the Ethereum chart as well, breaking down below that 4K level in its BMS. So it is crunch time. I've not got a crystal ball. I can't see into the future. I can't guarantee what's going to happen, but I'm just relaying the data to you. I hope you understand that. But I want it to happen, obviously, because I want my portfolio to go up, and I want you guys to do really well as well, okay? And again, you've got to sometimes step back and think outside the box. Right now, there's a lot of fear in the market, a lot of blood, a lot of depression, and this is something I've been talking about for many weeks since coming back off holiday with you. Look at the thumbnails on XRP. Is there enough fear in this market? And I think we may have seen that. Okay, it spooked me with that wick, obviously, because we lost that structure to 190. So even I've been spooked. But this data is keeping me holding on, basically. And I hope you understand that. A lot of people say moon boy, moon tile, whatever. But I'm just relaying what I see to you. The data, if we can hold this as resistance, we are exactly where we are right there. In this alt season, like I said to you, verticals in these charts don't last for long. People think they last forever. They don't. They last for a couple of weeks, up and then sideways to down. So we may be on the cusp of a major vertical, and the data may be telling us, okay, you're getting exactly the same data points as what you got there as to what you're getting right now. Okay, so this is why I'm holding on for dear life. And I am actually looking at opportunities like I relayed to you. I'm looking at crypto blocks. I'm looking at them big white blocks on the macro as opportunities. If we start to see bullish divergences on them, wow, I'm going to buy some of them, okay? But obviously not my life savings. I'm not going to go all in. So let me show you another chart right now that's actually raging upwards. It's ridiculous. Let's take a look at the gold chart right now. So on the 5-day time frame, looking at gold, it's absolutely going vertical. Now, there was a massive buy signal for gold in 2023 January, pretty much when Bitcoin broke out. You've been trending up on the ribbon. Look at that. So you're trending up, holding support. You're going absolutely vertical here in some kind of parabolic move. Now, once this parabolic growth curve breaks down, just like it did here, look at it, you've got a beautiful parabolic growth curve. You're coming up, you break down, you're heading towards a ribbon. Now, this here, if we start to see this in this chart, I think it's a catalyst for a move in Bitcoin. And the reason is, a lot of people are disillusioned with the fact that they think, gold needs to trend up for Bitcoin to trend up. It doesn't. I think what we see with that is when gold starts to rotate, people taking profits and selling off and things like that, they're looking for other investments. And I think one of the prime investments will be Bitcoin, which could be some kind of catalyst for a move, basically. Whether or not it's now or, further down the line, I don't know. But we're looking at some kind of parabolic growth curve here in gold. Once it starts to break down, I think we'll see a move in Bitcoin. And it really is simple. If I drop the Bitcoin chart in for you right now, every time gold breaks out and comes back, this is where you see Bitcoin go vertical. So look, Bitcoin's coming up like this. Gold is going up as well, but Bitcoin's having a pullback just there. This is in August of 2017. Just there, gold starts to trend back to the ribbon. What happens to Bitcoin? Breaks out. Just there, Bitcoin's coming up. It's having a crash and correction. Look at that into September, October of 2020. Gold tops out of its parabolic growth curve like this. Look at this. Starts to lose the parabolic growth curve and comes back in. What is happening to Bitcoin? It's going vertical. It's doing the opposite because money's come in from gold into Bitcoin. This is what sends it vertical. There's liquidity flowing into Bitcoin. Historically, it's been like that. Will it do it again? I honestly don't know. So we're looking for a parabolic growth curve on, to break on gold. So one of the key things we can look at is equally, divergences on gold. Right now, it is getting really, really overextended. Look at it. You're taking off in space. We don't necessarily see anything on the 5-day. If we take a look at on the weekly, we don't necessarily see anything on the weekly. But if we do drop a horizontal line in right now, you can clearly see that this is pretty much where gold begins to top out. Topped out just there, came back in 2006. Now, obviously, Bitcoin wasn't around just then. So we are going absolutely vertical here for gold, okay? And obviously, what goes up must come down. So we're looking for a parabolic growth curve break in gold. Once it starts to come down, I think that could be some kind of catalyst for Bitcoin and crypto to run. So we need to pay attention to the gold chart as well, because like I said to you, we're looking at confluencing factors across the board. You've got your potential breakdown of Bitcoin dominance. You've got your Ethereum doing what you've done before, and you've got the parabolic growth curve of gold here. Once this breaks down, typically look, it's breaking down. As it's coming down, Bitcoin's going vertical. Just there, coming down, Bitcoin's going vertical. So, you know, we're looking at key data point. Once gold starts to break down, you should see some kind of catalyst for gold, for Bitcoin, sorry, to go vertical. So right now you're looking at very, very extreme overbought levels on the weekly time frame for gold. Everyone's max gold at the moment, but I do think if we do start to see the break of the parabolic growth curve and this starts to trend back down, you could see some kind of push vertical in Bitcoin, because it's exactly what's happened every time. You know, this pullback, Bitcoin going vertical, this pullback of this cycle, Bitcoin going vertical. So this could be why we've not seen the waterfall, and this could be why we've not seen your waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance or the characteristic of the top, because actually the cycle top's not in right now, and it could roll into 2026. But you know, one of the key things I'm looking at is obviously the breakdown in gold. So this is why we've got to pay attention to this, because this is going absolutely insane at the moment, isn't it? But it's a good thing, because historically gold needs to go up, and then when it breaks down from going up, basically, look, that was a peak just there, look, peaking just there, starts to come back, Bitcoin breaks out, peaking just there, starts to come back, Bitcoin breaks out. So we could be in for a very good time. So let's pay attention to the gold chart, because right now it's really, really overextended, which is why you want to see it if you're expecting Bitcoin to run. So I'll leave you with that. I'll go on holiday for a week from tomorrow. I'll try and get the updates out and when, but I'll keep posting regular updates, and I'm looking for that big ZEC short going forward, okay? Stay healthy, stay strong, stay tuned. Take care. I'm back soon with an update on XRP. Bye-bye.